So I wanted to start the video today. This is the first footage that I've seen of the new Russian T-90M tank in action. And I wanted to provide a little bit of commentary because I've only had experience with the M60 tanks back in the Marine Corps, back in the 80s. But I'm just looking at the maneuverability of these things. I mean, well, and also the tactics have changed. You know, they're not charging into battle. Look at them. They are rolling forward, rolling backwards, firing down range. And look at the rapid rate which they're able to fire. I mean, it's astounding. And the maneuver, and they're firing, and that's another thing. They're firing while they're moving. You know, everybody thought that the Russians didn't have the capability to fire and move, fire and move, fire and move. But these tanks are proven different. And look at the devastating firepower of these tanks. If there are any Ukrainians there, they're getting wiped out. I mean, you can just look, and I'm sure this is a drone. And that's another thing I wanted to comment on is how warfare has changed since my day. You know, these drones provide excellent reconnaissance, and we're going to even talk about more AI warfare later in this video. But look at the devastation that these two tanks, just being there briefly, and look at the maneuverability, look at how fast the tank turret turns on the top, the firepower that they're labeled, and so that's what they're doing. They're maneuvering, so now they're maneuvering back. Look, now moving forward. So you're providing a moving target the entire time you're firing, and that's very important. As far as if your enemy, I mean, if they, of course, we're going to get into the javelins and how many javelins have been lost by Ukraine in the war here in just a minute. But you know, and God knows, thank God I'm not on this battlefield. And I'm going to get into that. We're going to talk about a lot of things with the war. Look at that tank turning around. Look at how fast. These tanks are amazing. I mean, I've never seen anything like this. And Russia is producing these tanks in record numbers. And you can see how they can maneuver all over the battlefield in Ukraine. Ukraine, I hate to say it, we need a peace treaty. They don't stand a chance against this type of hardware. And unfortunately, the neocons in Washington, D.C. and Zelensky and the corrupt Ukrainian government will not sue for peace. They're just going to allow the slaughter at this point of Ukrainians to continue. And I'll get into that in a minute. I had a comment today, and it was a completely uninformed person on what the purpose of this war was and how it took place. But look at him. He's moving. Well, I mean, you could almost say that's backwards, but the turret is completely turned around. He's covering his withdrawal from the battlefield with the tank turret completely turned around and in a firing position. I mean, these tanks are amazing. I've never seen tanks like this ever. I would say these are better than the M1 Abrams by far. And of course, I didn't even get into the other capabilities. All right, so let's get the video over. All right, there's the boo dog. Hold on, let me get the phone adjusted here. All right, damn it. There we go. Oh man, I twisted the thing to get the TV probably. There we go. So let's get that on the boo dog. I tell you, isn't he great in all his glory? Twist it one more notch. There we go. All right. Sorry, man. I apologize for the lack of editorial teams and everything that I need, but it's just so hard to gather the information for a daily video that's all that I can do. So let's get into the video here. By the way, there was another video I wanted to show you, but you know that can only do one. So let's get in to the news of the day. Watching the world burn. Hold on, boo. Come here. Come on. Yeah. Let's get you in the video. All right, so here we go. Only one page of notes today, amazingly enough. So at this point, 1/3 of Bakhmut has fallen to the Russians. The Wagner group is in there. By the way, you Ukrainian worshippers or Ukrainian cheerers, or, you know, I'm not on either side of this war. Okay, and we're going to get into that in just a minute. But the Judge in Freedom says that 1,030 Russian troops died yesterday. So that's a huge number in one day. I don't know what happened. I have no further details on that. It's just a lot of information that's floating around in the news. But Russia, Well, and this was a point that it might have been, I think it was Scotty Kilmer or maybe even Colonel McGregor. They were pointing out that now that we've provided the Ukrainians with these 150-kilometer striking systems, because Russia has stated unequivocally that they are going to push the Ukrainians back to where they cannot strike the Donbass region. So we've basically extended the war from the HIMARS, which I can't remember the distance on those. It might have been like 80 kilometers. So now the Russians have to push the Ukrainians back 150 kilometers. So we are prolonging the war, prolonging the death and destruction. You make of that what you will. So then I was talking about, I'm seeing advances from the Russians on every front of the war. It's huge. And I love this statement by, I think it was McGregor. He says, Russian forces are acting like bulldozers. They're just obliterating the Ukrainians and moving forward a little piece of real estate at a time. And that's what I wanted to show you with that tank video, is how they're coming in, they're just obliterating everything in front of them, pull back. Move a little further forward like a bulldozer, obliterate the Ukrainians, move back. So anyway. There's a new robot on the field. Russia just delivered 5 of these to the front line. I tell you, have you ever read those science fiction books where, you ended up, well, of course we got the Terminator series if you want to watch that, but where, we all ended up fighting the machines. Well, these new marker robots that Russia has fielded on the front lines, because we forced them into their weapons industries into major innovation. These are tank killers, and I think there's about 4 or 5 of them now on the front lines, and Russia was showing the capabilities of these things. Imagine if you're on the battlefield and you're coming up against a robot. I mean, and it's shooting at you. I mean, and it's not even a person. You're not even taking out, the control. These things are run by AI. I mean, it's a huge development in warfare. I mean, of course, the drones, that's a huge development. Anyway, the other statistic that I got today, and I was blown away by this, I think it was McGregor that said this today, that we have expended 7 years of javelins in Ukraine in our supplies from the United States. So make of that what you will. So our stockpiles are gone, more or less, at this point, at least of that weapon and many others that we've been pumping into Ukraine. And we're going to get into this, a comment on my videos here in just a minute, but I want to point out to you that Ukraine is one of the most corrupt countries on the planet. FTX just went down. I mean, that was a huge, huge money laundering scheme by the Democrats and the U.S. government and if you haven't followed that story, I guess you're just completely out of the news completely. That was billions and billions of dollars, and that was all done through Ukraine. I mean, Ukraine I see nothing but corruption and rot in that country. I'm not talking about the Ukrainian people. Okay, I'm talking about their government and what was put in back in 2014 under an illegal coup that was engineered by the U.S. CIA. So this is an important statistic I found today. 37% of Democrats want Biden to run for president. I was like, who are these 37% people? Oh my God. I mean, if there hasn't been a worse president in the history of the United States, I want to meet some of these people just to pick their brains and say, why would you want Biden to run again as president? Right now, I've made my prediction. It's going to be Michelle Obama. She's going to be the Democrat candidate, and that's my prediction. But I want to know, who are these people? Definitely check out the Satanic Emmy Awards with the transgender people up on the stage, and of course all of the Hollywood elitists out there clapping their hands as they watch this. I only saw clips of it. I mean, God knows I would never watch the whole thing. It brought the hairs up on my back. I mean, my God. I mean, Satanism exists in the United States. I believe that. A lot of talk from Glenn Beck today on the Chat GPT AI that I guess is out there right now, and I don't know a lot about it. I haven't actually interacted with it, but you know, people are saying it's conscious. It has a soul. You know, it's an AI. It's an artificial intelligence. This is just one example. There's going to be many more coming in the future. You know, we've got the robotics technology. So these are scary technologies. And Glenn Beck did a whole special on that today. You might want to watch him. God knows. Oh, man, I tell you. And be careful of the charities that you give money to. Okay, there's going to be a lot of people pleading for money to send to Turkey and Syria. Well, Syria is under sanctions. They're not going to get a damn thing that you put into any charity unless the U.S. government lifts the sanctions on Syria. Okay, so you're just pissing away your money. Probably go to some politician's pocket in Washington, D.C. That's what I'm going to tell you. Now, Turkey, Russia has sent and is sending huge amounts of help to Turkey right now. So that's good. I'm glad that Russia's doing that. I didn't see anything in the news today about the United States sending aid to Turkey or even the NATO nations, but I imagine they are. I'd like to think they would. You know, this is something that I just want you to understand with the COVID crisis. I mean, there were a lot of new things that were put in place, and somebody pointed out today, and I thought this was very interesting, that banks, you know, banks used to have to keep 10% of their money in the warehouse, and they could only loan out 90%. Well, as of COVID, now they can loan out 100% of your money. So what happens, I mean, and understand that, so that means they have no money. I mean, so if you do a bank run, if you go to the bank and want to take money out of the ATM and thousands of other people go there to get their money out, the banks have no money for you. So they're going to do a bail-in, and you have to understand every dime you have in a bank is at jeopardy at this point. And it's getting much more acute from what I can say. Let's see, but this was, there were pictures of people at the First American Bank. I think that's the name of the bank. They couldn't get their money out of the ATMs today. And so, you know, it's getting pretty frightening about the banking crisis. And I think you better be just a little bit worried. Yeah, so I guess my point being is that in order to help Syria, if you want to think the Assad regime is evil or whatever, to help the people of Syria, let's lift the sanctions and help them through this devastating earthquake. Thousands are dead. Entire communities completely destroyed. So let's get to this comment, and I just wanted to talk about this because this person is obviously completely uninformed on the war. Let's see if I can figure out, you know, I'm just not real good with these damn phones. Come on, how do I see? Oh, there it is, read more. Okay, I became very curious when I saw one of your vids, so I went through all your videos and see what kind of infos you're sending out. I found out you are a true and devout Christian. Yes, I am. I have been pouring out video clips about the Russia state. And what I did comment to him, Russia is a Christian nation. That's the Russian Orthodox Church. Even Putin will kiss the cross when the Russian Orthodox, and I'm not sure what they call him, a priest or a minister or whatever. You know, he's pretty devoutly Christian also. I mean, this is what your Western media would never tell you. Put out info about the Ukrainians. The Ukrainians are corrupt. Not the people, but the government. And also, by the way, it's been proven now today, they are conscripting, just like in Nazi Germany, they're conscripting 16-year-olds to send them to the front lines. Now, what do you make of that, the person who wrote this comment? What do you think of sending 16-year-olds to go fight in Bakhmut and die? And from what I understand, your survival rate as a conscripted soldier, untrained, is not very long in Bakhmut. Although that battle should be over here within the next couple of days, now that Russia's taken 1/3 of the town. And that's why what I'm saying here is there's truly evil people in this world. Now, I thought that my video yesterday would have helped this person understand what has taken place, okay? So, do you think that Germany could fight Russia? Do you think that Italy could fight Russia? Do you think that Britain could fight Russia? Do you think that Finland could, well, Finland actually could do pretty good. They have a pretty good military. Do you think that Poland could fight Russia? No, None of these nations have anywhere near the capacity to stand up against the weapons that are coming against Ukraine. So let me put this question to you, whoever wrote this comment. Where do you think all these weapons came from in Ukraine? NATO has been arming Ukraine for a war against the Russian Federation since 2014. Okay, they used the Minsk agreements. Okay, and I know you don't understand this. You're obviously uninformed. They used the Minsk agreements because they told Russia that Ukraine would honor because the Donbass region is basically Russian-speaking people who just want to be left alone. And the Ukrainian Nazis, the Azov, be sure and look up the Azov battalion in Ukraine. They're Nazis, okay? And they're an integral part of the Ukrainian military. They've been bombing the Donbass region for years. And so if you want to watch the videos, Germany, what is that damn woman's name? I can't remember, Merkel, or I don't know if it was Merkel or it was another person, but anyway, they admitted they used the Minsk agreements to fool Russia. They take good pride in the fact that they had pulled a hoodwink on Russia to continue to arm Ukraine and bomb the Donbass region. So Russia had no, I mean, imagine if we armed Mexico, man. If Russia armed Mexico to the teeth, I mean, think about it. This is World War II on steroids. With the amount of munitions that are going back and forth, this is what we've pumped Ukraine up to be in the last 8 years, and it's just incredible to watch. And I said yesterday, Ukraine, if they had been smart, they would have just turned the weapons on Europe, and they could have just overrun Europe with all the weapons that we provide them, and they would now have all of the European Union under their control with the weapons that we gave them. I mean, that's how heavily armed Ukraine was. Imagine that threat on your border. Okay, so I'll continue to read the comment, but I guess I've kind of made my point. Why are you so eager and desperate in playing down the hatred, anger, and distasteful emotions toward Ukrainians? I'm not hateful towards Ukrainians. I'm hateful towards their government. I'm hateful towards our government. We need peace. This war needs to end, and it's only going to end one way, and I'm going to tell you that right now. It's going to end with the destruction of Ukraine. It's going to end with the destruction of the Ukrainian people. It's going to end with hundreds and hundreds of thousands of Ukrainians dead and thousands of Russians dead. We could have had peace back in March, but your government, of course, Boris Yeltsin out of Britain, the European nations, the elitist, the globalists, they didn't want peace. They wanted to bleed Russia as much as they could. Well, they're not bleeding Russia. They're bleeding Ukraine, okay? I'm for the Ukrainian people. I want an end to this war. We need a peace deal, and they need to understand that Ukraine has lost the war at this point. So I'm sorry, I'm just getting angry about this. Why do you hate them so much? I don't hate Ukrainians. I hate their government, all right? So let's keep going. Any point offended, hurt you emotionally or physically? I myself am a Christian just by name. Well, if you're a Christian, are you for war? Are you a warmonger? Don't you want this war to end? Don't you think you should go attend February 19th, the anti-war march in Washington, D.C., and say, let's put an end to this? Because it's Washington, D.C. that can put an end to this. That Zelensky is just a puppet of the Biden administration. Understand, Ukraine, their government is completely funded. They are now the 51st state of the United States. They are completely funded by the United States. So if you want an end to this war, go march in Washington, D.C. on February 19th, and I might be there. I don't know. I got to go up to Virginia at some point. And so I'm seriously considering, but I don't think I can make it by that date. I'm down here in Florida, and anyway, so people are facing life-threatening moments, losing loved ones, fathers, mothers, sons, when they are doomed, and tears and pain. Yes, and I've tried to paint that in all of my videos. I try to show people the realities of war. These aren't just numbers on a screen. I've tried to show how horrible this whole thing is. And so that's it. I guess I just wanted to, and a selfish and murderous dictator. Is that how you view Putin? Is that how you view Putin? Because his country's doing great. People love him. Okay, Moscow is well, it's the best since the 1990s. Now, I haven't visited there, but I've seen videos. It's a thriving city. Now, if it's a murderous dictator, do you think his country, look, under the Soviet Union, would be doing good? How is their manufacturing on huge proportions. How's their GDP going up? If you've got a murderous dictator in charge like you have in socialist Venezuela, go live in Venezuela, buddy. You know, go down there and see what a socialist dictator is really like. And I strongly encourage you to go visit Russia and see how happy the people are there. Their shelves are full, and they're all 100% behind this war. So I think you're completely uninformed. You've listened to your propaganda media. You need to get out and start learning about stuff. So that's it for this video. So I've said enough. Peace out, stay free. It's good to live in the free Republican state of Florida under the great leadership of Governor DeSanctimonious.